you're going to see in a second, I agree. 81% of you guys said there's aspects of AI that could be used with a whole bunch of caveats. I think you guys are spot on. Based on what I'm doing, I've worked with RIAs, broker-dealers, including some very, very large ones that rhyme with words like Forgan Manley, to help them evaluate AI and recover in many cases from failed projects. A lot of in-house build failed projects, some vendor failed projects. But my role today is to just set the stage for this conversation. And what I really love to do is cut through the hype, to highlight what's real, what isn't, and where we're headed. And the reason that I consult for Red Oak is I put them in that second category. They don't talk about things unless they're real. They don't sell vaporware. And that's why I have no reservations in putting that Red Oak logo over the top of my left ear. So moving forward here, current state. Unfortunately, many of the so-called AI and machine learning tools were actually rules engines in disguise. Behind the scenes, a lot of case when, if then statements and hard-coded. And they broke down when firms would show up with their WSPs and their ADVs and their oversight procedures. And they'd be expecting an AI or an ML tool to sort of adapt and change and generate. And then they found out a couple of things. Their data wasn't ready. The rules were hard-coded. And maybe the AI technologists really didn't understand your business that well at all. And so the SEC actually has reacted to sort of wave one of AI in fintech. And Chair Gensler invented this term called AI washing. And earlier last year, March of 24, they fined 2 firms for overstating their use of AI. The regulators are watching closely. They made it crystal clear. Misleading AI claims are a compliance violation. Delphia and Global Predictions were those firms. Combined penalties were $400K. The direct quote in the press release was, investment advisors should not mislead the public by saying they are using an AI model when they are not. Such AI washing hurts investors. So for compliance officers like you, this is more than hype. It's a real regulatory risk. The lesson from this is don't overstate the capabilities, deliver substance, not slogans. But here's the hard part. How can you tell the difference? You guys have to do diligence. When your reps show up with the latest, greatest tool and they're on fire for you to approve it, how do you tell the difference between real AI and machine learning and something that is being marketed or demoed as that, but it's not really that? This is hard. This is harder than just the latest version of Money Guide Pro or eMoney or Riskalyze, Asset Map or that sort of thing. This is really, if we go back a little bit, it's very similar to the generation of robo-advisors, only 10% of which still exist today, right? The first wave of robo-advisors, we didn't know what it was, and the regulators then later had to catch up, and they had to come up with some regulation to say, hey, you got to publish your algorithms. If you're going to put 30% in cash, Schwab, you got to tell us. If you're going to push people into proprietary products, you got to tell us, right? And because the regulators have gone through that regime, once bitten, twice shy, and they are not going to get fooled again. George W. Bush, not going to get fooled again. And they are on alert right now. The antenna are up. So we go to the next one in state of AI. These numbers tell the brutal truth, though, about AI implementation and compliance today. Let's start with the most revealing statistic here. 76% of leaders struggle to implement AI. This is from Vention Teams, VENTION Teams. If you go to ventionteams.com, you can actually get all this data yourself and way more than I'm showing you today. That's 3 out of 4 compliance executives who know they probably need something in the area of AI, but they can't figure out how to make it work within their organization. Even more telling, only 54% of AI pilot projects ever even make it out the door to production. So think about that for a second. Nearly half of all AI initiatives that companies invest time and money in never actually deliver value. They get stuck in this endless testing cycle or fail when they encounter some real world complexity, or they choke on dirty gas in their engine called data. One of the questions I love to ask new clients who want to go out and build sexy AI dashboards is I say, is your data AI ready? Huh? What does that mean? I ask you the same question. Is your data AI ready? You ever get questions from reps about performance or billing, missing transactions? You ever had trade blotter issues with FINRA, the SEC? If the answer is yes to any of those things, then you've got to circle back and rebuild some foundation before you can do the sexy stuff with AI sometimes. So here's where it gets interesting. Only 15% of companies face significant regulatory hurdles as their primary challenge here. It's actually not the biggest barrier. The real problems are actually organizational. 18% lack a strategy, and they're experimenting without a clear plan. 56% struggle with data quality issues. What I just said, their AI is only as good as the data they feed it, and 19% have budget constraints. The pattern here is clear. AI implementation failure is not about technology limitations or regulatory roadblocks. It's about fundamental organizational readiness, strategy, data quality, and change management. The companies that are succeeding with AI and compliance aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest budgets or the most advanced technology, though. They're the ones who've done the foundational work first. Let's go to the next slide. I am so excited to share this slide with you guys. This just came out less than 24 hours ago. I work with Michael Kitces sometimes on his surveys and his reports. And this is available, full report available on Kitces members section. Sneak peek of the 2025 Kitces Advisor Tech Study. This is actually going to be released in Michael's talk at Future Proof next month. But you guys are the very first audience to see it. So this data reveals some fascinating patterns that I just want to walk you through very, very quickly. First, number one, document review is clearly the gateway drug for advisor AI adoption. It's leading every category because of its low risk with obvious ROI. Notice, even the skeptics are not at zero. 8% of skeptics are using AI for documents and client service. So this tells us that when the value prop is undeniable, adoption happens, regardless of their attitude or biases. But here's the key insight. Advisors are not playing it safe. They're using AI for operational efficiency, document review, planning prep, barely touching strategic innovation. Only 4% are developing new service offerings with AI. So the real opportunity are these purple bars, the AI moderates. They're consistently trying AI across categories. They're the persuadable middle that's going to drive mainstream adoption. So the bottom line here, we're seeing rational, risk-averse adoption, and the firms that move beyond efficiency to true innovation are the ones that are really going to be creating the biggest competitive advantages. Let's go to the next slide. But let me cut through the hype with some hard data here. While 78% of organizations claim they're using AI somewhere, only 18% have proper enterprise governance in place. In financial services specifically, 91% of firms say they are exploring AI, but most are stuck in what I call pilot purgatory. Anybody there? Bueller, pilot purgatory? Endless testing without ever getting to production. So what's actually working? Well, I'm calling out 4 areas right here. Communication surveillance, anomaly detection, they're generally transformative. AI catches patterns that human reviewers miss. You can actually see this in cancer research, where we're doing image review and doing early detection of some cancers faster than Memorial Sloan Kettering oncologists could find them. Trade monitoring shows some solid improvements in both speed and accuracy. Regulatory filing automation is handling some mundane but critical work. And we're seeing some good results in risk scoring and client onboarding. You probably saw that if you use FP Alpha or if you're using some of the proposal tools that allow you to use your phone even to take a picture of a client statement and then pre-populate the client onboarding screens. But let's be equally honest right now about what's broken. AI struggles with complex regulatory interpretations. The nuanced judgment calls that require understanding and regulatory intent and not just text. Remember, we still do struggle with FINRA on the rules base, but SEC on the principle base side. Reading between the lines and what the regulator means or how enforcement is applying the rule, we're having trouble with that with AI. So cross-jurisdictional compliance remains a nightmare because AI can't navigate these differences. Real-time high-stakes decisions and legacy systems integration are also a major pain point. because it's not about the large language model in those cases. It's about the small language model, what we call RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So the critical insight here is we've hit an inflection point. Technology capabilities now exceed organizational readiness. The tech isn't holding us up. The regulation isn't holding us up. It's our organizations that are holding us up. ROI is becoming measurable for early adopters. Regulatory guidance is emerging, but it's still that organizational readiness. So the winners are going to be those who solve the governance and the change management challenges, not just buy better technology. So you need to be partnering with people who have already done that for themselves, if you can. Ride their coattails, learn the lessons. That's why Rick is coming next. So if you've seen the Gartner hype cycle on the last slide, you recognize this pattern. Look at where we are in 2025. Almost all AI tools, including Agentic AI on their chart, are stuck in the peak of inflated expectations. So this is where the marketing promises are big, but the real world delivery falls short sometimes. Many vendors are making bold claims about what AI can do, but when you dig deeper, the pilot programs don't scale. The demos are not actually being performed on real data. Implementations get stuck in testing phases and never make it out. So the reality is the majority of firms are still experimenting, running pilots, evaluating vendors. How are you guys doing that? Have you updated your due diligence so that you can properly evaluate it, run a pilot with real data? Red Oak is one of these vendors, though, that we actually recommend at DCG Insight, rob@dcginsight.com. If you ever emailed me and asked me, hey, I want to do a bake-off, tell me about the top 3 vendors. We get that request all the time. We recommend Red Oak because they're truly different. They're already in production. They've already cut their teeth. They've already broken their ankles and stepped in the potholes here. These aren't pilot programs or proofs of concept. They're live. They're expanding workflows. They've already planted their flag here. Last one. So let's talk about what's really exciting. It's not just another chatbot. AI, and especially agentic AI, is representing now a fundamental shift towards what I'm calling real AI. So current AI, if all you're doing is using ChatGPT, it waits for you to ask. Agentic AI, though, reasons through complex scenarios. It applies your rules and it takes the next step automatically. It's not waiting for prompts. It's actively working through edge cases using your firm's protocols. It's a game changer. Imagine if every compliance review was performed with a consistency of your best person, your best compliance officer, but without the fatigue or bias or missteps. Agentic AI doesn't just flag issues, it applies your risk frameworks and it considers context and can initiate follow-ups. And so I'm so excited to stop talking now